all know the feeling. We're meeting a group of people for the first time, and we're asked to share our name and a fun fact. Often, my go-to icebreaker is that I have a twin brother. That fact usually turns a few heads, and then the questions follow. Do you guys have twin intuition? Are you like the same height? Are you exactly alike? To answer those questions, I have about as much intuition with my brother as with my friends, so no, it isn't a thing. He is way taller, and we're far from exactly alike. He is an incredible, kind human being with an endless list of strengths that differ from mine. I often like to say that between the two of us, we play an average of 3 sports. It should be noted that I play 0 sports. He's the sporty guy of the family who brings home an incredible amount of gold, silver, and bronze medals, whereas my trophy drawer is stocked with participation trophies. My brother is also a lot more practical than I am. He does every chore of the house, and he has a gift in the kitchen with all his baking and cooking. He's in charge of paying the bills every month. He stays on track with the payments, calls every month, and has not missed a deadline to date. He gained this knowledge way before I did. I remember the first time that I was put in charge of the laundry, he was there guiding me through the process. I remember the machine starting to make a noise, and naturally I panicked, sure that I did something wrong. But he reassured me that the sound was normal, and he told me to stop fiddling with the machine. That moment I realized just how many more life skills he'd acquired than me. My brother is a knowledgeable, confident, caring, and smart guy. The irony is that despite the description that I've given you, many doubt my brother's abilities. Our society is structured in a way that it makes it more challenging for people like my brother to thrive, and places barriers that can hinder their contribution to society. This is because my brother has special needs. The term special needs is one that generates a number of preconceptions. When the term special needs is used, individuals are often treated differently altogether. Growing up simply having a brother with special needs, I was judged. Despite this, my experience cannot compete with that of my brother and my parents. I can spend time recounting some of my experiences when my peers insulted my brother and I, and would ask personal and intruding questions. I was often asked by my peers what my brother's problem was. He doesn't have a problem. Problems need to be resolved. He has a disability. Generally, there isn't a way to solve a disability, but there are ways of functioning with one. Those with special needs are not less than, and they should not be treated as such. The fact that I, a neurotypical girl, have a twin with special needs can be surprising for many. Having a sibling with special needs is really a unique experience. There are stereotypes surrounding what a family of an individual with special needs may look or act like, and I doubt that my family fits the criteria. Regardless, the reality is such. I have a twin with a disability. When I bring this fact to a peer for the first time, or when they meet my brother, they often don't know how to act. I've seen everything from a look of confusion to an awkward forced, smile and handshake. I understand the reaction, but my general advice is to treat him like you would anyone else. Please be patient. It may take a little longer to get the words out. Be compassionate. Be kind. Make him feel welcome as you would with anyone else. The reality is that due to his disability, my brother will have to face more obstacles than the ones that you and I face. Throughout this talk, I will be discussing obstacles that the special needs community faces, and hopefully prove to you that amazing things can happen when you give them a chance. I'll be discussing 3 aspects of my talk: school system, government services, and the workforce. So let's begin with the school system. We're all familiar with the structure of the typical North American classroom. Students are placed in a class with 20 to 35 other children, expected to follow the teacher at the same rate as their peers and to learn in the exact same way. They're then assessed similarly through standardized tests or ministry exams. As you can imagine, every individual with a disability has a variety of needs, most of which often cannot be met in a standard classroom setting. In order to help individuals with disabilities learn, modified programs and different resources have been made available, including integration aids and individual education programs. Therapists are also provided, but oftentimes the wait list is extremely extensive, and parents are encouraged to seek private care, which they cannot always afford. It is possible for a single therapist to work at multiple schools simultaneously, making their practice difficult. A number of schools have been providing a specialized setting for those with special needs as well. These schools allow students to learn at a pace that they are comfortable with, and to establish a more need-based learning. But even these alternative approaches have limitations. For one, not every child is accepted to certain specialized schools. Some students who are more severely affected are turned away. Additionally, it may be too difficult for a special education teacher to invest as much attention as every student requires. Although these teachers do everything in their power to help their students, certain needs may not always be met. I would like to propose a number of solutions for the aforementioned issues, including an increase in life skills courses, such as budgeting, money management, and cooking. So the ultimate goal of schooling, in my view, at least, is to make students more self-sufficient and more independent, which the acquisition of these skills would accomplish. I realize that this would result in the shift of the schooling system, but I believe that it would be a beneficial change. A second proposal would be hiring additional staff in regular and specialized schools. I realize that the government's budget is not unlimited and often schools pay the price. It would be beneficial for students with disabilities, both in specialized settings and in a regular setting, to have speech and occupational therapies at an increased frequency. Another struggle concerning the education system is the high school diploma, which is required to receive additional schooling and to be employable. However, it is not always possible to achieve these requirements for individuals with special needs. It may be impossible for certain individuals who struggle with memory, language, communication, mathematics, and science due to a disability to acquire such a diploma. A standard high school diploma is established in order to create an educated population to ensure that they leave school with a certain standard level of knowledge. Despite this, the diploma lacks the necessary skills needed in order to render someone self-sufficient, including budgeting, finance, or cooking. An additional struggle is that for those who cannot complete their diploma, jobs opportunities decrease. So a solution for this would be the creation of adapted high school diplomas for individuals with special needs. This idea was presented by a member of the Quebec Parliament, Jennifer Morrone. Adapted high school diplomas would allow individuals to graduate with a diploma that is adapted to their abilities. So if an individual particularly struggles in English, but is excellent in math, they'd be able to graduate with a diploma that adjusts for these abilities. These solutions would be able to open more doors for individuals with disabilities, therefore rendering our system more equitable. On a personal note, my family decided to take a different route for my brother. My mom decided to homeschool my brother for various reasons. She decided that it was the best avenue to pursue, as she'd be able to dedicate all of her attention to him. He would be able to follow a specialized learning program that would consist of acquiring life skills, financially and volunteer-wise, that could make him employable. We were lucky enough to have the means to do this, but it is important to note that this isn't the reality for many families with individuals with special needs. Many families either do not have the means to do what my mother did, or simply disagree with the method and register their children in specialized or regular schools, all of which are valid. In my brother's case, despite being a talented chef, if he wishes to pursue such a career, he'll face a number of obstacles. Despite having a strong culinary talent, he's expected to have proficient language, math, science, and history skills, even though these subjects are not applicable to his task at hand as a chef. Next, I'll be discussing government services. So there are a number of government services offered to individuals with disabilities, which differ depending on the diagnosis of the individuals in question. 3 services that I will be discussing include the process of assessing a disability, acquiring therapy, and welfare. So I'd like to begin by giving credit where credit is due. Individuals with physical or intellectual disabilities may require assistive devices to help them flourish. In Quebec, these devices are provided to those with disabilities free of charge. This means that if someone requires a wheelchair or hearing aid, it's provided to them. This is a wonderful initiative. However, when discussing individuals with disabilities that are developmental or that require other services, well, there are shortcomings. Some children with developmental or intellectual disabilities require therapies as a treatment. In order to qualify for therapy, an assessment is required to receive a diagnosis. These assessments are provided in the public sector, but the waitlist can last years. If not, private assessments can be incredibly expensive. In some cases, parents may have to wait for the children to be in school so that the school can provide an assessment. This disadvantages their child in the long run, as children without a diagnosis cannot be provided with helpful accommodations along the way. Now, once an assessment is acquired, public treatment is offered. However, the wait list for that may be between 12 months and 18 months. With disabilities like autism, it is best to start therapy as soon as possible, and parents are faced with the decision, either paying a large sum for immediate private care or waiting for the public system. Both alternatives could be problematic depending on a family situation. To sum up, a parent may have to wait between 12 and 18 months for an assessment and then an additional 12 to 18 months for therapy. The earliest 2 to 3 years in a child's development are formative, so the wait is counterintuitive. From an outside perspective, it may be incredibly simple to propose hire more public therapists, as there'd be more employees to deal with the influx of individuals who require such services. For a number of reasons, I recognize that this is much easier said than done. There must be a way for the waiting list to be shorter. I would suggest the hire of more public workers, obviously, and perhaps investments in centers catered to therapists that treat individuals with special needs. At the end of the day, more children with special needs must have more access to said services. Now, to shift the focus a bit, when they become adults, individuals with special needs have significantly less government services available to them. They receive a Social Security payment, formerly known as welfare. There are a number of requirements for social benefits, some of which are problematic. For one, individuals must prove that their income is equal to or less than the amounts prescribed by regulation. This method is put in place to ensure that those who do not require the welfare program are not abusing the system. However, this often backfires. The restrictions put in place often leads individuals to choose between working and keeping social services. If, say, an individual is able to work part-time at a business, but not full-time due to their condition, they may be taken off of welfare. They'd be deemed ineligible as per the aforementioned criteria, so the income, and removed from social benefits. Due to this, individuals may opt to remain on welfare and not work, even if they have the desire and ability to. It puts individuals in a binding situation. Even if they decide to work, the work that they are provided with may not be enough to support their needs. Moreover, welfare in cities like Montreal does not cover enough to live comfortably. I would propose a large change: the modification of welfare standards in order to prevent individuals having to choose between welfare and a job. The purpose of welfare, in my view, should be to support individuals who cannot work, and that priority should not change. However, as a government, I believe that it is important to encourage the societal contribution of as many citizens as possible. If individuals are debating between whether they should be keeping benefits or working, the system is flawed. Perhaps the maximum amount made by individuals with special needs on welfare should be increased, or the standards should be modified. The last subtopic that I will be covering is the workforce. So in 2011, the employment rate of Canadians aged 25 to 64 with disabilities was 49%, compared to 79% for Canadians without a disability. This statistic demonstrates how the population of individuals with a disability are not employed as frequently as those without one. There are not many businesses and work options for individuals with special needs. Employers often opt to not hire people with special needs despite their qualifications. It requires patience and care to employ them, and there are many who decide not to. Speaking with a young woman with special needs about her work struggles, she detailed how difficult it was to find a job. She told me, "All I want to do is work." She strives to work but understands the complications of taking that route as well. In my brother's case, he has done a lot of volunteering but has not had the opportunity to work. He would be excellent in a restaurant, although his employer would have to be more accommodating with him than with a neurotypical individual. There are a number of solutions that I could propose to improve the system. I would suggest creating full-time or part-time jobs that do not require such strenuous standards. Now, recognizing individuals for the work that they are capable to do is rather important compared to which diploma they were able to attain. Lastly, there should be increased benefits for companies or organizations that accept employees with special needs. Companies believe that time is money, so the thought of spending more time may be an unattractive thought. If companies are given benefits, they may be more accepting of the idea of hiring those with disabilities. More incentive to hire those with special needs means more people contributing to our economy, which is super important. Companies like Google had initiatives doing just this. It's important to expand this movement. So after all this, you may be wondering, so why should we, as a society, aim to better include those with special needs in our community? When speaking about our country or province, we often describe it as a melting pot, referring to different ethnic diversity, sexualities, religion. The list continues. Disabilities are often forgotten when discussing that melting pot mentality. It is important to value every experience Disabilities add to our culture's diversity. Diversity is strength. Different human experiences bring so much value to any society. Excluding individuals from participating in different aspects of our society due to structural issues that are left unresolved is no excuse and a betrayal to our system of beliefs. We need to stick up for the melting pot mentality. We need to also ensure that the system is rendered more equitable, to ensure that everyone can contribute. Many people with disabilities also have the strong desire to contribute to their communities, whether in schools, in the workforce, in their social circles. As a society, we have a duty to fulfill that desire and to provide them with the necessary tools to get involved. It's a win for us as well, as when people with disabilities get involved, amazing things happen. It's easy to think about people like Helen Keller, Stephen Hawking, and Temple Grandin as success stories of people with special needs. But it doesn't just stop there. Individuals with special needs can contribute a unique set of skills to certain organizations in Silicon Valley. Companies sought out people with autism due to their skills in pattern recognition, focus, and attention to detail for software testing systems. In 2018, Canada won the second most medals at the Paralympic Games, right behind the US with 28 medals. Lastly, those with disabilities have the unique skill of bringing people together and of bringing out the best in us. With my brother, this has certainly been the case. He is one of the reasons that the Lakeshore Supersonics, a specialized soccer team, was formed. Other organizations have started and flourished throughout the years, bringing more and more people together. Each of them created a family, a group of individuals with various disabilities rallying around each other, but also allowing their families to rely on each other. The number of individuals that rally around a child and push them to be the best version of themselves is astonishing. The old proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child," is quite accurate in this field. There are an ample amount of individuals that rally around those with a disability. Coaches, integration aides, teaching faculty, school administration rally around them. Speech, occupational, physical, and ABA therapists rally around them. A community composed of family and friends rally around them. Now, my final question is, will you?